Hello everyone, this is part 16 of What If Naruto Had a Hug That Changed Everything, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Chunin Stadium Clinic. Yes, hello. I'm here to see Naruto Uzumaki, the young Sakura said to a nurse of the clinic. The nurse smiled at the pink-haired Kunoichi and told her that she was just in time for visiting hours and that she could see him right now, although the chances of him sleeping his life away were rather high. Sakura informed the nurse that she was okay with it and all she wanted to do was see her teammate. The female med nodded and led her to the room where the blonde ninja rested. Once the door to his room was open, Sakura smiled at the sight before her. The room was a soothing shade of light, complemented by the flowing silky curtain, giving it a slightly angelic glow. She shifted her vision to the resting form of Naruto, deepening her smile with her cheeks changing to a bright red. The nurse held the door for Sakura and caught the expression on her face, causing her to smile as well. You have 30 minutes, dear, she informed. Sakura gave a simple nod, never taking her eyes off of the blonde boy in front of her. With that, the nurse left and closed the door behind her, leaving the jade-eyed genin alone with Naruto. Hey handsome, she cooed with a slight chuckle as she walked next to the boy before pulling up a chair to sit close to him. She stared down at Naruto's slumbering form and felt her heart beat heavily. Despite the sensation, Sakura kept her content smile before reaching her hand forward. With an intent to touch his skin, the petite female hesitated at first, but quickly shook it off and gently ran her fingers upon his face, mildly entertained by the whiskers he possessed. It was funny, but until now, Sakura had merely thought of them as marks or scars, but now that she was here feeling upon his soft skin, she could clearly tell otherwise. As she played with the whiskers, gaining several ticklish chuckles from the sleeping boy, she couldn't help but chuckle to herself before she began scratching them. Deciding that she was having way too much fun, the pink-haired female ceased her actions and ran her delicate fingers through his shaggy blonde hair, feeling a great sense of tenderness as she saw a pleased smile creep across his face. He looks so peaceful, she thought to herself as she continued her fondling. It's almost hard to believe that he can be such a savage when fighting. Gaining several encouraging moves from the blonde, Sakura let out a series of entertained giggles. That is of course until Naruto began to talk in his sleep. I'm sorry Sakura-chan. I didn't mean to make you so upset, he mumbled in his sleep. The girl in question ceased her actions and stared at the blonde incredulously. I just wanted to be there for you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Naruto continued to mumble before snoring lightly. Before she knew it, fresh tears freely fell off of her face as she stared at her teammate. Her face had the expression resembling that of a sad and happy smile. Now that's a face. Gire, you idiot. Don't apologize to a be like me. You didn't do anything to me and I shoved you into the ground. I'm the one who's sorry for everything. I never cared. I never cared about your feelings, your dreams or anything. I'm so sorry Naruto, she let out before falling upon the boy's chest and crying her heart out. I'm so sorry. You've always been there. I forgive you. I forgive you. Please, stay with me. Of course, her cries fell on deaf ears because the boy was out like a light. Sakura-chan, he sleepily mumbled again. Sob, Naruto, Sakura cried. Chunin Stadium. After a brief intermission, which wasn't wasted by the crowds as they excitedly chatted about how unexpectedly cool Naruto was today, Genma made the announcements for the next match, which was supposed to be Sasuke's, but was postponed because the dumbass wasn't there. Minutes have passed and the Uchiha was nowhere to be found. Needless to say, the crowd was starting to get a little restless. Many of them had wished nothing more than to see a battle with Sasuke. Eventually, people started shouting as their impatience grew. Genma looked at the ground. Well, damn. You'd think that after the action they had just been fortunate enough to witness, they'd be a little more grateful, yet here they are, he thought dryly to himself. Where on earth is Sasuke-kun? He'd better get his ass over here or he'll be disqualified. Ino fretted before she remembered that she was alone and felt stupid for talking to herself. The blonde sighed heavily, thinking about what Sakura and Naruto might have been doing or talking about if the boy was awake. She even entertained the thought of them being able to share a kiss after a long talk. As several other thoughts roamed around in her dirty little mind, Ino started grow excited as she fidgeted. Damn it. I know I shouldn't go. For all I know, Sasuke-kun could show up the moment I enter the clinic, but damn it. Why is my curious always out to get me? Ino thought to herself before sinking within her seat. Come on. Where's the Uchiha? How long are you gonna make us wait? I came here to see a fight. Bring out the Uchiha. Back at the Chunin clinic. After letting most of her anguish out, Sakura fell into deep satisfaction by simply watching Naruto sleep. A genuine smile was on her facial features, wondering where she would be without the boy in front of her. Who knows, Naruto? Maybe your efforts weren't in vain after all. Just maybe, she thought to herself with a warm blush. Gazing up at the clock, Sakura was surprised by how much time she had already spent in that room. Damn, 20 minutes already. I'd better go or I might miss Sasuke-kun's match, she said, sighing to herself. Before she actually rose to her feet, Sakura's eyes unconsciously peered at Naruto's soft lips, triggering blissful memories of the 2 kisses they had shared. The pink-haired genin raised a hand to her own lips as she remembered the second. How beautiful it was. How sensational it felt. At that moment, she finally made a hardened decision. A decision to do the right thing when Naruto woke up. With a new resolve, Sakura rose from her seat and headed for the door. Once she reached it, she took one last look at Naruto with her smile never fading. Just maybe, she thought before walking out of the room. Inner Sakura, no. What the hell do you think you're doing? Hurry and get back there right now and F him, you little bee. Think of the perfect babies you could spawn with a man like that. Of course, it was around that time when the black-clad genin shot up into a sitting position and yawned heavily, rubbing his eyes with sleepy disposition. Geez, how long was I out? Sniff, and why does it smell like strawberries in her? Sakura, he recollected as his fantastic sense of smell picked up the familiar scent, was she here? Not wanting to stay in bed any longer, Naruto jumped out of the covers, facing the window as he let out a haahu stretch. With his muscles, joints and tendons relaxed again, the shaggy-haired blonde decided that it was time to get back to the stadium balcony with his fellow combatants. However, what the, he stammered as he suddenly felt something completely different from anything else he'd ever did in his life. What the hell? What is this feeling? Kit, you have also detected this presence. Why yes. What is it? I don't know. Whatever it is, I doubt it's friendly. Naruto's face cringed greatly at the sudden forebode. In truth, it terrified him while at the same time, it filled him with a desire to check things out. However, 2 little things called reason and logic have been somewhat of a new habit that Naruto had acquired over last few days. Considering what he had just felt, facing whatever owned this horrific life force would be a mission, and he knew it. As not to do anything too incredibly stupid, the blue-eyed kitsune decided against it and simply headed out the door, where he nearly collided with the nurse but stopped just in time. Naruto, you should still be in bed, hun, she gently informed. Naruto shook his head dismissively. Thank you very much, mom, but I'm fine, much better than I was in fact. I think all I needed was a small nap, he said with sincerity. At first the nurse was a bit doubtful and a part of her wanted to insist that he go back to bed and rest, but seeing the lively glow in his eyes clearly contradicted all of that. Quote. Okay, sweetie. Go on then, she cooed. Flashing his classic foxy grin, Naruto happily obliged as he walked out of the clinic, waving goodbye. The nurse couldn't help but smile. Come on. That's the demon boy we were all so afraid of, she thought before her face fell a little bit, though I probably should have let him know that his pink-haired friend visited him. Oh well. Meanwhile, around the same time that Sakura even entered the damn clinic, and I guess it's as good a time as any to describe Sakura and Ino's mother, Yuhari Yamanaka and Futaba Haruno were happily blowing some of their cash at a convenience store. Seen as how most of everyone in Konoha was at the Chunin Stadium, the 2 mothers were free to shop without fending the other leeches away with sticks if they saw a decent item that was on sale. After the previous events, Yuhari and Futaba decided that it was due for a little girl time, and what better way to spend girl time than to shop like crazy, honestly. Yuhari was garbed in a black long-sleeve short jacket with a shirt that bared her midriff underneath. The blue jeans she wore were tight at the fit and cut off at the knees. Of course, she wore the usual blue sandals. I don't understand why everyone wear those sandals. Basically, she looked about 23 years from then. Futaba wore a small red tank top with black shorts and the usual sandals as well. Her glossy pink hair was long and folded back into a braided ponytail with a few loose strands looming over her face. They had both spent nearly the entire day together talking about, well, whatever it is mothers talk about, I wouldn't have a clue. After their rate at the convenience store, Yuhari and Futaba decided to grab a bite. With the amount of shopping they do, no. It's ridiculous. Coming across their favored fooding stop, the dango shop, the two mothers sat down after ordering their food. The waiter, yes, a waiter in a dango shop, approached them and was ready to take their orders. Good afternoon, lass. What can I get ya today? He asked. Just the usual, please, Yuhari said. Not even needing to write down the simple order, the waiter walked off in the direction of the kitchen. Unbeknownst to the two mothers, however, a large hand viciously snatched the poor waiter's face before jerking him up into the ceiling's rafters. Futaba whirled around to see what the source of the noise behind her was. Did you hear that? She said. Hear what? Yuhari asked with a questioning stare. Quote. Nothing, I guess. Moving right along though. I guess I owe you an apology for being such a b to you about what you know of Naruto. It turns out that you were right about him. Despite all of the history behind him, he really is a sweet boy, the pink-haired woman admitted with an embarrassed smile. See, I told you. But I have to know, what brought on the change of heart for Futaba? The blonde mother asked with piqued interest. Well, let's just say that I learned the hard way about it because of how much my little Sakura cares for him, she said. From the way that she lamented over the boy, it was a miracle that she is even speaking to me after I tried to separate them. Yes, my Ino told me all about that. I'm just happy that you don't see him as a demon anymore. But, while we're on the subject, how does little Sakura feel about Naruto? Yuhari asked as she folded her arms down upon the table with a smile on her face. Futaba returned the smile and was about to oblige, when all of a sudden, a torn and bruised foot landed upon the center of their table. The two women were frozen completely as they gathered at the twitching limb before shooting their glances up at the ceiling rafter above them. A dark luminous figure with glowing red eyes was savagely biting and tearing the meat off of a severed leg before looking down at the terrified mothers. Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it, Bess? Have you come here to s? He gurgled with his inhumanely gruff-toned voice. KK Kuro, Yuhari and Futaba shouted at the top of their lungs before lunging out of there when the said beast came falling down, crushing the Strudi table with his mass. Ow, I bet you thought you'd never see me again. Well, no matter, it's time to devour you as well, Kuro viciously growled as he stared at his next intended victims with ravenous intent. Back at the Chunin Stadium, Sakura had made her way back to her seat next to Ino, who was blushing madly with anticipation. So, she said. What? Sakura responded. Ino scoffed. Don't play stupid with me. How was your little quality time with Naruto? She questioned. Sakura blushed and averted her eyes a bit. What do you mean? I just spend some time with. You so fondled his balls. I fondled his. Why the hell do you always think like that? Because I'm just that sort of bee. Now tell me how good it was, Ino demanded with her eyes glistening with intent. This wouldn't be the first time Sakura has seen Ino like this, and usually it was because she had time to think about things. This time she was gonna milk it. So, you wanna know how good it was? She cooed. Gulp, yeah, Ino frantically responded. How delicious it looked. Yes, I do. How good it felt. Yes, tell me. I need to know. The way he felt under my touch was so sensational, she said as she began to smile deviously. I could touch him over and over again. Ino's legs began to rub together as she clawed her fingers into the armrests of her seat. Keep going, she demanded. Sakura put a finger to the side of her chin. No, I don't think I will, she said mischievously. Ino's eyes nearly popped out of her head. Tell me. I'm so close to. So close to what? Ino, Sakura teased. I have to go to the bathroom. Excuse me, the heated blonde said before running as fast as she could to the little kunoichi's room. To do what? That pretty much explains itself. X. Back at the Chunin Stadium. Sakura had made her way back to her seat next to Ino, who was blushing madly with anticipation. So, she said. What? Sakura responded. Ino scoffed. Don't play stupid with me. How was your little quality time with Naruto? She questioned. Sakura blushed and averted her eyes a bit. What do you mean? I just spend some time with. You so fondled his balls. I fondled his. Why the hell do you always think like that? Because I'm just that sort of bee. Now tell me how good it was, Ino demanded with her eyes glistening with intent. This wouldn't be the first time Sakura has seen Ino like this, and usually it was because she had time to think about things. This time she was gonna milk it. So, you wanna know how good it was? She cooed. Gulp, yeah, Ino frantically responded. How delicious it looked. Yes, I do. How good it felt. Yes, tell me. I need to know. The way he felt under my touch was so sensational, she said as she began to smile deviously. I could touch him over and over again. Ino's legs began to rub together as she clawed her fingers into the armrests of her seat. Keep going, she demanded. Sakura put a finger to the side of her chin. No, I don't think I will, she said mischievously. Ino's eyes nearly popped out of her head. Tell me. I'm so close to. So close to what? Ino, Sakura teased. I have to go to the bathroom. Excuse me, the heated blonde said before running as fast as she could to the little kunoichi's room. To do what? That pretty much explains itself. Upon the stadium balcony. The other would-be Chunin waited patiently for the next match to get underway, in other words, waiting for Sasuke's crack-happy ass. Their attention was averted from this, however, by a familiar presence. Most of them turned around to see Naruto walking towards them with a very troubled look on his face. Of course, that was ignored, and the only amount of recognition thrown out was that of great impression. Even Temari had to admit, the boy can really kick some ass. And in any other aspect he actually kinda cute, the blonde San sibling thought to herself with a faint blush and a smirk. Once Naruto approached the rail, he leaned upon it and stared down at the arena with the same troubled look on his face. Shikamaru had caught the look but couldn't help but smile nervously. Hey, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am thankful to the cloud gods that I didn't have to fight this guy, the ponytailed genin thought before finally asking him what the deal was. What's with you, Naruto? You look distracted. At first, there was no response. Hi, is anybody home? Despite the rarity, Shikamaru snarked. Huh. Naruto finally responded, turning his attention to his longtime friend. What's with the troubled sage complex? Don't tell me you're that worried Sasuke not showing up, he suggested. The blonde kitsune seemed to be put off by that comment. Well no, Back up. Sasuke still isn't here, he asked. Shikamaru sighed. Not that I really care, but no, he isn't, he said. That dumb ass. He'd better up or he'll be disqualified, Naruto said with a comical scowl, completely changing his demeanor. Suddenly, the blonde boy felt a draft and shivered a bit. He checked his person and realized he was missing something. Then he looked back down at the stadium and saw what he was lacking at that moment. Oh, I forgot about my jacket, Naruto said before absent-mindedly jumping off of the balcony and landing upon the ground, whistling a happy tune as he walked over to the said jacket, flipped it over his shoulder and walked back to the balcony. No, seriously, he walked up the damn wall while whistling until he made back to the balcony before putting on his red jacket. Much better, Naruto eased himself. Back down at the arena. The Hokage's bodyguard informed Genma of what was to be done about Sasuke's delay. I understand, the examiner said with a nod before the bodyguard, can't remember his name, vanished from sight. Genma turned to face the ranting crowd. Lass and gentlemen. Due to Sasuke Uchiha's delay, his match will be postponed. Therefore, we shall move straight on to the next first match, he informed. Kankuro, Kankuro and Shino Aburame, you're up next, Genma called out to the balcony. Shino was more than ready to begin his match and move on, putting a hand upon the rail. Kankuro, on the other hand, was sweating bullets. Kuso, this is just my rotten luck. We aren't ready to execute the operation yet. I can't display Karasu's, Crow's, true powers here. It looks like I have no choice, The puppet user thought himself before shifting a worried glance to Temari, who nodded with approval. Kankuro relaxed a bit before turning down to Genma, examiner. I forfeit, he announced, gaining strange looks from everyone, except his other siblings. Genma, are you freaking serious? Did you hear me? I'm giving up. Move on to the next match, Kankuro said. Shino looked at the guy with his perpetual scowl. Inner Shino, LYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYY. The winner by default is Shino Aberame. Yeah, it was easy to tell that the crowd didn't appreciate that in the slightest, as they all gave their own disapproving roars. Shikamaru grimaced. Doesn't mean that my match is next since Sasuke isn't here, he thought. Temari was a bit disgusted at how the crowd was overreacting about the lack of action. After a loud scoff, the blonde female relinquished her gnomic fan, pulling some "oh that crazy s," before flipping it open, dispersing a huge gust of wind that caught almost everyone by surprise. Next thing they knew, Temari was gliding down to the battle arena on the damn fan. Once she landed swiftly upon the ground, Genma shot her a look before smiling. And you are, he said. My match is up next, right? Temari retorted. Part of me just wants to shut this crowd the hell up. Alright then. Shikamaru Nara. Get down here. It's time to start your match, Genma called out, much to Shikamaru's great dismay. Jesus. Why are all of you getting so damn excited for? I don't wanna do this. Maybe I should do the smart thing, and give up like Kankuro did, the nervous genius thought frantically to himself. While the raven-haired lazy nin was off in his own world, Naruto, who was still standing next to him, sized him up in confusion before plastering a tired scowl. Well, what the hell do you think you're waiting for? Get down there and show her who's got the balls in this relationship, Naruto said before simply pushing his friend clear off the edge without so much as a warning. Shikamaru, thud. Around the exact same time, a slightly dirtied and bruised Futaba had her back against the wall of a building. Breathing shallowly while scanning her surroundings. With her body decently hidden within the shadows, the pink-haired woman glanced to her side and saw her longtime friend, Yuhari, laying low in the same position on the other side of the road. With an affirming nod, Yuhari informed her friend that it was time for a long haul. With that, both mothers torn themselves from their hiding places and ran as fast as they could in the direction of the central building to retrieve any kind of help. The two were focused and intent on escaping that area with their very lives and were especially surprised that they were even able to make it this far. But all things considered, Yuhari and Futaba may have been scared out of the very minds right then, but they both agreed that life was too short to give themselves to the monster hunting them. As they ran and ran, the two worn females saw the central building slowly coming into view. Look, we're almost there, Futaba exclaimed. Yeah, almost. But we're not out of the woods yet, Yuhari warned. At those words, they both increased their speed so they could waste less time. Unfortunately. CCRRASSSH. The monster stalking them burst through the ground just before them. Gaining terrified and startled screams from them both. In one fluid motion of remorseless offense, the blood-guzzling cretin elbowed Yuhari straight across the face, sending her flying out of the picture, following suit with a mind-blowing uppercut to Futaba's abdomen, lifting her off her feet. The blonde Yamanaka slammed, back first, into a nearby wall before Kuro took his pink-haired victim's face into his hands before throwing her hard onto the ground, sending her tumbling across the dirt before coming to a sliding halt, where she lay on her back, dizzied. Before Futaba could recompose her senses completely, she felt large foot crash down just below her B, where she let out a choked cry of anguish. She looked up and saw Kuro reaching for his remarkably handcrafted katana before, in the blink of an eye, he unsheathed it to the frightened mother's point first. HAAA. Mwahahahahahahaha GWRAAAARGH. Kuro roared as a sandaled foot came crashing directly up into the side of his lower jaw, sending him soaring away from Futaba with a depraved scowl on his face. The jade-eyed woman peered up and saw a battle-poised Yuhari standing by her side. Kuro landed swiftly upon the ground, not too far from his food, and gave them an almost humorously crooked smile. Who? Hoo, forcefully snaps his jaw in place. He. The monster chuckled with amusement. The blonde woman balled her fist as she growled aggressively at this opposition, despite her obvious terror. Futaba staggered to her feet a little but managed just fine. Thanks a ton, Yuhari. That was too close, she said before assuming her own fighting stance. When your husband is one of the greatest Junin of Konoha, you tend to pick up on a few things, the blonde said. So what's the deal? How can this creature still be alive? I don't know. I truly don't. I don't even know why he's here in the first place, or what anonymous grudge he has against the leaf. But I guess we really aren't in any position to be thinking about all of that right now, Yuhari said while glaring daggers at Kuro. Hell, I can't say that either of us have squabbled in the past. I really must say, that I am impressed, the large mare mocked. I really didn't think you'd put up this much of a fight, never mind you surviving this long. But you see, I think I've let you live long enough. My mother always told me about playing with my food. Both females gained mildly disgusted looks upon their faces. Go ahead and take your best shot, freak. Futaba, I wouldn't be so eager to tempt him right now. Something's telling me that he really was playing with us, testing our will to live, Yuhari observantly proclaimed. The tank-topped woman merely frowned in response as she and her turquoise-eyed friend faced off against this walking night terror. Such fire and charisma. I will very much enjoy draining you of that spirit and life force, my eager young children, Kuro hissed with dark desire before something on his left side caught his eye. Sir, I missed one. Yuhari and Futaba both shot confused glances to their opposer before they slowly shifted their stares to what he may have been staring at. To their absolute horror, it was a frightened little boy who had just been orphanized only minutes ago. Oh God, Futaba cried. Get out of here. Run away, Yuhari screamed frantically. Too late. Kuro visibly charged at the tearing boy, cackling with sinister intent as he bared his abnormally huge fangs. Do you miss your parents, boy? Do you wish to see them again? He roared while still cackling. Kuro, stop this, Yuhari and Futaba lamented before running desperately to reach doomed child. At the Chunin Stadium, Sakura was starting to grow a little worried about Sasuke. I don't get it. What if something bad happened to him, she fretted. Before she had a chance to really dwell on that subject, a shadow darkened her presence. Sakura looked up to see her blonde friend Ino blushing like crazy with a shamed scowl on her face. Oh, Ino, did you have fun? She taunted before chuckling playfully. With her hands on her hips and the blush everlasting, Ino glared at the pink-haired temptress. Right, I bet you think you're real special, huh? She questioned with irritation. No, not really. You think you're such hot stuff now, don't you? Nope, can't that say I do. You think you've won. Huh, do ya? Well, ya didn't, Ino screamed before taking back her seat in a huff. Far too entertained to end it there, Sakura continued her assault. So Ino, what was it like thinking about Naruto and I, huh? She asked. Ino blushed again before turning her head away. Come on. It was totally hot, wasn't? Sakura irked on. Ino suddenly saw a golden opportunity. Yeah, a little, but not as hot as it was getting in his pants, she retorted. Sakura. Ino turned her head back to Sakura and smiled devilishly. When Naruto told Anko not to touch his goose, he just depraved her of the best sensation she could have possibly had. She pressed on. A large, detailed vein finds its way to the surface of her forehead. And the way it actually tasted, like chicken with every bit of manliness that he is. Sakura's teeth clinched so hard that you could almost hear them crack. My God, and it was big. So big that I think it would have torn me if I didn't ease down on his manliness slow enough to. Sakura. Enough, you little bee. Touch him again and your balls are mine. ... Silence. Ino crossed her legs and her arms as she smirked haughtily at the pink-haired kunoiki beside with both of her hands sealed tightly around her mouth. Zooms out of spot to reveal to staring faces of every living soul in that audience roster. Sakura's face turned a dark shade of pure red as her pupils shrunk as much as her humiliation inflated. She slowly cranked her budging eyes to Ino and saw her smiling with the, "You so fell for it," look. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.